Okay, so if you're having issues with your washing machine, let's say you check the agitators inside, all the gears are good, so it seems like it should be agitating. Let's say it spins, it'll do a spin cycle, it'll fill up with water. So you know the water pump and the motor's working, and that's really all there is to these things inside there. The transmission is working because it's spinning it, but it's not washing the clothes or it's not cycling properly. The wires run down to the motor to a plug, and that's really the only wires they have besides a capacitor. So everything is in this. This is the timer, and this is the speed variation of the motor and everything. So this has a set of contacts in it, and to get to it, we'll first need. This is the tools I'll use: a 1/4 inch and a Phillips, pair of pliers, either one, and a flathead screwdriver. If all you have is a pair of pliers and a Phillips screwdriver, you can remove these 1/4 inches or any other size with just your pair of pliers on the tips of them, being careful not to strip it. So the Phillips are right here on the back, one there and one on the other side, two of those, and then 2/4 on the top, one there and one here. The plastic goes over like that. Okay, so now we have it unplugged, and these little feet like that, they just slide in right there. So you slide this back. Now we get to the timer switch. To take off this knob, you have to make sure it's pushed in, because there's a pin that goes through, and to release the clips, this little pin right here has a hole. You see that hole? So we need to turn it until the hole is facing with these slots. That way we can get a little needle in here like that. Okay, and then we can pull the button out and it'll come right, the knob, and it'll come off. So now I'm just gonna pull the knob, and boom, there it goes. It came right off. Now we can take our needle out, pull these off. You don't have to remember which way the arrow is facing, because it can only go on one way. It has a set of splines on the inside with 2 little ones and 1 big one. Now there's a little bitty screw right here that I didn't put back in. You could just use pliers or 4mm. Now to undo this, it slides, but there's a little thing that you have to push up with your finger underneath right here, the black part, and then you can slide it forward once and pick it right out of there. Now you can unplug it. Okay, now that's the center pin, and that's the back of it. The way that it works is the pin will come up all the way, and then those won't be able to push in. So we're going to take off this cover. This is the cover part, and this is not the cover, this is the housing. So this is the cover. Take that off, and then we'll pull out this pin that we put our needle through. We'll just pull it out. Okay, so now this is what we're left with: the pin, the cover. This is a timer motor. It just attaches to the bracket right there. All of this comes out like this. So we'll just upside down, push that through. Okay. Now this motor has a little gear that turns this big gear, which has a bunch of little lines in it that make these push down. And as you can see, there's a burnt one, and what these push down on is these 3 set of contacts, as you can see. And this goes back in here only one way. So you could try to put it in this way, but as you see, the plastic, it goes from big to small, so it won't work. So you need to flip it around like this, and now it goes from little to big. And this is the plug side right here. So this is how it goes, like that. And put it together real quick. It's hard to do this with one hand. I'm gonna set it back in there real quick. Okay, just like that. You see? Alright, and also these 3 sets of contacts, as you can see, they come apart very easily. You just take them apart, and then you can clean each set of contacts with some sandpaper, and then just assemble it back. And there's a little triangle in the middle, and it goes down on this little triangle on the bottom housing. So let's put it back together real quick. So, put that on there. Push the motor on the little slot and lay it down. Alright, so now we're right back to where we started. And we just put the pin back through and then put the cover on. Also, if your washing machine is stuck on one mode and it doesn't do anything else, like the knob doesn't go around, it's probably because this motor is burnt out and you probably need to replace it. They have a certain RPM on them. This one's 7.5 RPMs, as you can see down here. Some of them are 10 RPM, so 10 revolutions per minute, and that's the speed and the time between the cycles that this big cog will turn and engage these contacts. So, yeah, after taking them apart and sanding them, I noticed that some of them were touching, so I spread them apart. Make sure they're not touching. Okay, one more thing to note is that on the bottom of here, there's this little slot, and that'll slide down onto that. Otherwise, when you turn your knob, it won't make clicking noises. It won't turn this gear because it's not set in there. Also, when you put the timer, install it back here, make sure that you put your knob back on and push in the little holder before you assemble the back.